Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Curtain Podcast, the show where we ask for insight about topics we think we know everything about, but don't. I am your host, Andy Ortiz. Today's episode is titled Law and Order, where Lady Justice will be swift and fair. Sylvester Stallone will not be yelling, "I am the law," but the hammering of gavels will produce order. And we welcome to the show Laura and Jake Torres.
Thank you.
The crowd cheers. Thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and life and everything, and for giving us this opportunity to sit down and have this chat.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
All right, so like with every great story, we begin at the beginning. Laura, where were you born?
I was actually born in San Luis Potosí, in Mexico, a little town called La Noria, right outside Rio Verde in San Luis.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How long were you there?
I was there until about 4 years old, and then my parents decided to immigrate to the United States. So pretty much grew up here, but we still have a lot of family there.
Yeah?
A lot. Mm-hmm.
What memories do you have of being there?
You know,
is it vague, or do you still remember vivid things about climate or things like that?
So, interestingly enough, my mom loves scrapbooking and photos and stuff, so she's kept a ton of pictures of me as a kid in Mexico and just of me just overall, and that's something that I have for Angie too. I keep a lot of pictures of her, and so that's how I remember things, through my pictures. I mean,
yeah.
There's one picture I remember of them. We're all outside, and we've got this. They're making some mole outside, and then there's a little piglet next to me, and apparently I had a piglet as my pet.
I think y'all ate it, didn't you?
I don't know.
Come Christmas time, it grew up to a certain thing, and
we did have pork that.
That'll do, pig, but in some other form. Okay.
But just little things like that I remember my childhood through those pictures, and the dresses she's kept for me. So she's a hoarder like me.
Okay, so those memories are still alive and well within. And for the record, who is Angie?
That's my daughter. She'll be 3 here in September. So
okay, so at the time of this recording, 2 and some change.
Yeah.
Getting close to 3. Wow, 3 years?
3 years. Yeah,
Oh.
she'll be 3 next month. Really.
Oh,
Not very close.
Mm-hmm.
okay. And Jake, where were you born?
So I was born in San Angelo, Texas. That's about halfway between Dallas and El Paso, so in West Central Texas. I grew up in Mertzen, which is 30 miles outside of San Angelo, so a really small town. There are 22 in my graduating class, and I think 11 of us started kindergarten together, so really, really small little town.
You knew everybody.
Knew everybody, yeah. Knew everybody. Still keep up
Do
with
you
all
still keep up? Yeah, that's my fault.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's just very, very few of us, but it was nice. It was a different, very different experience than I think most people had, whether they grew up in like the suburbs or a big city. But it was a good home. It was a good place to grow up.
What did your parents do?
So my dad is a state trooper, and he was he's with the Texas Department of Public Safety for over 30 years. So he's been a state trooper with the Texas Department of Public Safety for over 30 years. I hopefully am going to be retiring sometime soon. My mom, my mom passed away when I was a freshman in high school, but before she died, she was a counselor. So growing up in a rural area, most of the school districts didn't have full-time counselors. They couldn't afford to have one. So they would pool their resources together, and some staff members would just kind of like travel from district to district, and that's what my mom did. So she was a school counselor for several different small school districts, and would just kind of drive 30 miles in different directions to different small towns and give those services. So that's what she did. Very different.
You picked up any tips along the way? Anything?
No good tips.
No, from your mom? She's like, Jake, I work with kids.
Just behave.
Oh, it's a great lesson to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Touching a little bit about your childhoods.
Sure.
We mentioned Angie. If our listeners can clearly hear her in the background, that's her. Yes. Don't be alarmed. We're not doing anything. All right. Are there any other traditions that you had as a kid that you're doing now with Angie? You think of that top of your head?
Well, one of our traditions growing up was visiting Mexico every year.
Uh-huh.
We haven't done it with Angie, but it's on our to-do list, and we're hoping to do that pretty soon.
Yeah.
But every year since, when we were... Because my parents still have a lot of family there, so
Yeah.
every single year we'd go in December and the summer.
Yeah.
And to this day, my parents are still going. They're planning a trip here in December, so we want to do that with Angie. And we actually really do that already, but we go to San Angelo to visit Jake's family.
Yes.
And so family's just really important, and so we want her to be close to her grandparents just like we were, and we try to do those family trips. So when we say vacation, that's where we're going to visit our family.
Yeah.
And
So that's been the tradition. That's been what's been passed on.
yeah. Ever since that I remember that we were always in Mexico, and I really enjoyed that, and I want Angie to grow up with her with her family. Wherever they are, we'll travel to visit.
I think reading is also a good tradition that we do. So, growing up, both of us read a lot. Angie reads all the time, like Eric Carle books, like The Very Hungry Caterpillar and
Brown Bear.
Although, so yeah, she does like to read a lot. I think that's kind of, I think you would consider that a family tradition. She reads all the time.
And that gives you hope. That gives you okay, my kid's gonna read one day. She'll be a functioning member of society. Like I can sleep well at night. If she doesn't know how to do something, there's a book that'll probably help her how to do that.
Just in general, as educators, we were really able to see firsthand the power of reading, and that's something that I talk to my other friends about, that are having kids and stuff. Just read to them every single day, because my kids that were avid readers were significantly just ahead of the game. It didn't matter what you threw at them, they were just somehow... Their brains were developing a little bit differently. Their vocabulary just increased, so it's powerful.
And by the way, just meeting Angie, the couple times I have, I don't think she's that young. Mm-hmm. To me, she seems a lot older because she's a lot more active. She's from what I can
talks
tell.
All the time.
From what I can tell, she's very independent.
Very independent.
Right. And so that's kind of. There's no concern. I'm just amazed. Oh wow, little 3-year-old is gonna. Probably rule the world one day, and she's standing right in front of me, and I've discovered her, so I'm going to stay out of her way. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Are there any new traditions that you maybe are hoping to implement as she gets older? Is there something that you're looking forward to?
Well, I hope we travel. Mm-hmm. That's something. Right? Yeah, definitely. So, I've not traveled very much. Domestically, I've traveled a good amount. I've been to East Coast and the West Coast, and been to some of the major cities. But internationally, I've a very, very limited travel experience. Whereas, Laura, you've been to Europe, Africa, South America. You've been all around the world. And so I hope that Angie and our other kids can do that. I'd like for them to see, firsthand, up close, some of the major world cities, and just interact with people that are different than her.
I agree. I was going to say the exact same thing. I want to travel domestically because I think the United States has so many neat...
it is 50 states.
Yeah.
East Coast to West Coast. There's...
I want to travel. I want to see all the presidential libraries. I think that's important. And now that we have one in Dallas, we're definitely going to take her to that. And I want it to be educational, but also very much fun trips. I think that's going to be...
I have a very similar thing, but it's just maybe to see every Major League Baseball stadium.
That'd be awesome.
I haven't done that, but I need to. I should just do that. Summertime, it's baseball. Yeah. I'll put that on the to-do list. Yeah.
Goals.
Okay. Let's a little moving on from your childhood. I guess next I just want to know, what were you like in high school? Can you picture that? Can you remember that? Jake, I see you smirking. What comes to mind immediately when I said high school? What was the first thing that jumped to your mind?
There were 22 of us. Just
from 11 to 22.
From 11 to 22. Yeah. No, it's just that there were so few of us, and it was just I love my childhood and I love my high school class. We're still very close, but my experience growing up in a town of 800 people, where you're surrounded by just a small group, I guess there was so much that I did not understand about the world, and I'm not a very worldly person now. Obviously I I'm not very well traveled and I'm not very well cultured, but like before I graduated from high school, I don't think I'd ever met an Asian person. I'd never met a Muslim. I don't think I'd ever met anybody. I never met a Jewish person. Just grew up a very, very sheltered, I guess, sort of lifestyle. So yeah, no. When I think back to high school, I just think about, gosh, how ignorant I was. It still am, but definitely was at that time.
Laura, what came to mind now that?
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer since I was really young, and so I went to the law magnet here at Townview.
Okay, here in Dallas.
Yeah, and so a big part of that was doing, just integrating myself in what that was gonna look like, and I really, even after those 4 years, still didn't really quite know what being a lawyer was gonna entail, but I did have a taste, and I knew that that's definitely what I wanted to do. So I had pretty interesting internships, and there was no sports, which was fine for me. So I didn't have that experience.
Sorry, guys.
Not athletic at all. But I really enjoyed high school. It gave me an opportunity to really figure out, yes, I want to do law, and it gave a lot of people the opportunity to recognize, no, I don't want to do law.
Yeah, that's just as important.
Exactly. So
what was it that hooked you? Was there a moment that hooked you? Was there?
Well, my family is an immigrant family. We came to the United States. We're just a big immigrant family, and so growing up, a lot of my uncles would tell me, you need to be an immigration attorney because I need some help. And
the family discount, please.
Yeah, they would just always say, we really need you to help us, and I really took that to heart, and I'm excited for the potential there for me to be able to help my family. I want to learn a lot more about immigration, obviously, but that's kind of what just propelled me to keep going. And I was the first in my family to graduate from high school. Well, me and another one of my cousins, we were the first ones, and it was just great to start that tradition and kind of keep the hopes up for my immigrant family to one day be able to help them.
So you're fighting. That's what's driving you.
Yeah, I'm trying to help them. Because it's so expensive sometimes, and just lengthy, and...
Yeah. If you could shorten that process in any way or form, that's you. That's what you're here to do.
Yeah, because for a lot of my family members, they've been in the application process for so long. Sometimes it's just easier and faster for them to have their first child turn 18, and then start a new application for them. That's how long the process takes some time, and so just kind of trying to figure out if there's other ways to help them, because that's just a long way.
Okay. Jake, Laura mentioned there wasn't any sports, and you gave us a little smirk, but was sports important to you in high school? Or
yeah, we didn't have anything to do growing up in a small town, so everybody played sports, and even though we had a really, really small high school, we still played 11-man football. But everybody had to play.
Everybody had to play.
And we all did. I was not...
there wasn't any replacements. There wasn't any, hey, you sub in for me now.
That was it. You played the whole time, or we played a man down. So I was not a very good athlete growing up, but the one cool statistic that I had from high school was my senior year, I played every second of our high school football season, every single snap, just because that was... We didn't have anybody, like you said, we didn't have anybody behind you. I loved it, and that's what I wanted to. Even all through my time in undergrad, I wanted to be a high school football coach. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach, and people ask me what you wanted to do. I would tell them that's what I was hoping to do. So sports was important.
How bad was it when the whole town would show up to the game and you didn't win? How bad was the heckling?
Well, it happened a lot, so I think they were kind of conditioned.
Okay.
we were not always the most talented team. I don't think there were ever high expectations that we were gonna win state. So
what was the town like when you won a game?
Yeah, it was everybody was always excited. And again, we were 30 miles from the closest movie theater. 30 miles from the nearest anything. So if you wanted entertainment, that was pretty much it. Just high school sports, right? Exactly. Not a whole lot else going on. So yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Laura, high school lawyer here in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Jake, you're in San Angelo, and yet somehow you're here in Dallas.
Yep.
How did you make that trek? How did that journey start? Why Dallas?
So when I was looking at colleges, I knew I did not want to go to somewhere like Texas or A&M or Tech, where there were 50,000 students in the university. Going from, Merton when I left was 839 to 50,000. Like in Austin, Texas, was just mind-boggling. So I looked at smaller schools in Dallas, even though
country mouse there going over this. No, I'm just kidding.
even though SMU was in the middle of Dallas, when you walk on campus, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you're on a part of a smaller community. And so I guess that's why SMU made sense. Scholarships and all that stuff kind of happened to line up where that was the best option for me. So that's why I came, and then just haven't left. So.
It's so weird talking to other people. That's what they look for when they're applying to a school. They don't look like, okay, they have this prestigious program here,
right,
or this professor's here. A couple of friends of mine were just the weather. The weather reminds me of home.
That's crazy.
And that's why they ended up in Dallas. The weather, simply because of that. Texas,
So I knew that I wanted to stay in Texas, but I was such a terrible consumer, I guess, of college and higher education. So my dad never went to college, and my mom did, but she had passed away when I was I think 14 years old. Wow. So before I really started looking at that process and trying to decide where I was going to go, so we never had those conversations. I guess I just knew I wanted to stay somewhere in the state. But I definitely should have spent more time looking at costs and student loans and all those other things.
No, because then you wouldn't be here.
Things would have been different.
Things would have been different.
I have a lot less debt, yeah.
If I would have gone to A&M, the loans would have been less. But sure. Laura, what helped you decide coming to school, going to college here in Dallas?
Well, I knew I wanted to stay in Texas because I wanted to stay close to my family. I have 3 younger siblings, and I very much to this day like to be a part of their life.
Yeah.
They're 9 years, 13 and 15 years younger than me, so I'm literally like the third parent. So I wanted to stay close to home. I didn't realize I was going to be this close to home, but it worked out. SMU just gave me a great financial aid package that I just couldn't turn down. And everywhere else that I looked offered me, decent packages, but ultimately I knew that I wanted to graduate with the least amount of debt as possible, just because I thought that was the smartest thing for me. Didn't really know what else to do. I was also the first to go to college, so not much guidance.
A lot of mistakes along. No, I don't want to say mistakes, but
mistakes.
It was
rough
great.
Stepping stones.
Yeah, I had a mentor, and she's another reason why I went to SMU. But I grew up at a local community center called Trinity River Mission, and I had a mentor from 7th grade to till this day. We still talk. We're in contact. Her name is Christy, and her alma mater was SMU, and so she was like, "You should look into it. It's a great school," and it just kind of propelled me to apply there and just kind of look further past, what other people said about staying too close to home and other stuff. It worked out perfectly. Because I would go home on the weekends when I wanted to, and when I didn't, I'd be like, "Oh, Mom, can't drive. Can't get over there.
I'm studying."
Yeah, so it was perfect. And I could still go during the week, go home during the week if the kids had something like super important that I didn't want to miss.
Jake, you couldn't do that as easily?
No. But that was okay. It was good for me to get out and get away. There's so many different things to explore in Dallas that I still haven't even been able to do, and I think being far away was helpful.
Being on your own?
Yeah, being on your own. My dad came up a good number of times to visit for different things, and being only about 5 hours away isn't too bad. Yeah. I think it's a good distance. And,
yeah, you can run home anytime you want, and
if you ever needed to, you can always run down. And again, there's no major cities near the San Angelo area where I grew up. I guess the closest one would be San Antonio, which is about 3 hours away. So it would make sense sometimes for my family to come up if they ever wanted to go to big shopping malls or go see a Cowboys game or do something.
Go Cowboys!
Yeah, go Cowboys. Rangers. Go Rangers. Oftentimes we'll see them coming up here, so that's always fun.
Okay. So Laura, you mentioned lawyer in high school. Jake, you mentioned education, high school teacher / coach. Laura, what did you end up majoring in college?
I was a political science and Spanish major, so I did.
Sorry, so that political science and...
Political science and Spanish, double major. So I recognize the importance of Spanish, and I thought that was important to get a degree in. And I also got to travel to Spain.
Ooh.
That was one of my highlights in
cultured. See, she
very cultured.
See, she majored with the language so she could go and visit the country.
That wasn't my only reason.
It doesn't matter if we're on a podcast. She brings that up in every single conversation.
I want to go back.
Just leave him like. I guess, Jake, are you afraid that you'll come home one day and there's just a note on the fridge?
Gone to Spain.
BRB.
It'll be fine. Angie and I will just hang out here and just sleep all day. It'll be fine.
See, Laura, you don't have anything to worry about.
No.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Fine. Once you find that deal on Travelocity or something, like, go. Fly.
Seriously.
Fly.
Yeah. And political science, because I thought that's what you had to major to go to law school. But apparently you don't. Now that I'm in law school, there's a lot of people with a ton of different degrees. Engineering, for example, is a great degree now going into law school. So interesting.
It's true.
If you could go back, would you have chosen a different degree?
It's hard to say because I met some of the professors in the political science department are amazing and really touched my life, and so I would have to say no, just because the people that I met through my degree, not only the professors but everyone in the political science department was just pretty amazing, and a lot of people wanted to go to law school, so it was great to kind of surround yourself with.
Yeah, I think what most people don't understand is just kind of gathering like-minded people around you gives you such a boost in life. Like, okay, they think like me, I can be comfortable, I can be more of myself.
Yeah, your conversations are...
Yeah,
about things
political theory or something
things that you wouldn't talk.
I know nothing. I just know like torts. That's it. That's all.
That's more than I know.
That's the political jargon that I know. I read that on a book somewhere, and that was it.
Yeah, and so I really enjoyed those relationships with the students, and more than that, the professors.
So that was the highlight of being in political science, the relationships that you got to make.
Yeah, and the professors just were so passionate and are so passionate about what they do, and that the science behind political science, I guess. A lot of data and stuff. So I really enjoyed it. So I would have to say no. I'd maybe just go and add another major, maybe.
That's
potentially. Nowadays, I don't know the statistic. Maybe it's like more than. I feel like it's more than half of the students double or triple major at SMU. Like, it's a thing. So probably just would have added another one.
Oh. Jake, what did you major in college?
I doubled in English and Spanish. So knowing that I wanted to teach, and knowing that I did not want to teach math or science, I figured English was always one of my favorite subjects in school. So I figured that would probably be one of my best options. So chose English. Picked up Spanish just because, teaching in DIC, it's always helpful to have a Spanish background. So I knew whenever I did, I guess, the math, or whenever you kind of calculate out what courses you were going to take, I'd have a ton of electives that I was going to be able to fill in. And my advisor suggested that I look at picking up another major. So Spanish made sense. So I picked them up.
Adding tools to that tool belt for...
Yeah, and it's just so helpful. I think I don't speak Spanish very, very well, but I think that it was helpful whenever I went in and I was actually in the classroom, being able to pick up the phone and call a parent and not having to get a translator or have the student translate. I think those are very, very helpful. So.
In English, did you focus on a certain type of English degree, like? Is there a different creative writing?
Right, so you could do creative writing or just the traditional English degree. I did not do creative writing. I did just the regular track. But as far as when I was choosing classes, I usually just kind of chose whatever worked in my schedule and would check off. So I was. What
gives me Friday off?
Where do I not have to wake up before noon? I was such a terrible student. I never really decided I was going to focus on pre-Victoria era, whatever, or English romanticism or anything like that. So
funny story. So you get to choose electives in school, right?
Yeah.
I such a high achiever. I was like, I guess I wanted to take like a writing class because I want to learn how to write stories. I signed up for a 3,000 level Victorian poetry class.
Oh my God.
And like the first week we were there, the professor gives us like 3 different poems to analyze, and immediately I went and I changed my schedule to something. I'm like,
I'm over this.
I'm over this. So I applaud Jake for staying with that for 4 years, and you thank you, man. You fought the good fight.
I didn't get very good grades, but I got my degree.
Yeah, that's what counts. Okay, so you're both at the same school. How did you guys meet?
We worked together. We were aero leaders.
What is aero?
We were just orientation leaders. So for incoming students that would come in, they'd have to go through an orientation process where what do you do in aero? You pick your classes, and I think they told you not to drink during college. And
yeah, you get your ID, you
all that
your
fun stuff.
Advisor, finish financial aid. There's a ton of stuff.
Yeah. So, and I think we'd probably met before then. There were not very many Hispanics in our class, and I think we'd like at least seen each other like walking around on campus at some point. So,
yeah, you're right. There's not that many of us, but that summer we spent a lot of time together. Being an aero leader, you're going nonstop. We did the math. Got paid very little.
you spent a lot.
You said how long was the orientation? Or?
Well, the orientation for students is 2 days, but we did it every 2 days.
Every 2 days
every
for
2
how long?
days.
Did you do that?
Weeks.
Couple weeks.
It's at least 2 months. At least 2 months. All of June and June. Yes, it is.
Like that.
Hot summers together.
It was at least 2 months.
So Laura, what did you first notice about Jake?
He stole a pen.
Ooh.
Or a book. He stole a book.
I think I stole a lot more that summer.
was
We were
the
getting
first-
paid
Definitely
so
still a lot
crappy.
more than that now.
We were in line to take pictures for we were in line to do something because we were aero leaders at that time, and we were actually during Mustang Corral training. That's really when I remember you stood out.
What's Mustang Corral?
Mustang Corral is an overnight stay for our first years to kind of just bond.
Oh, okay.
And
It's like camp.
it is just like camp. Yeah, it's just like camp. It's like 1 or 2 nights. They get away from the campus and meet each other. A lot of just fun stuff to do. So we're doing training, and I remember they gave us our book that we read. So you're supposed to read a book for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
All of incoming freshmen, and we had to read it as orientation leaders. And he had mentioned how he'd already had one or something, and then he got 2 more books or something, and I just thought he was so funny.
Aww.
Makes me laugh a lot.
Is this true, Jake?
Yeah, I think I stole more than that. I don't know. I had this mentality during all 7 years when I was on SMU's campus that we pay over $50,000 in tuition every year. I can take some copy paper or an extra book or a computer or whatever.
Ooh.
Don't tell Turner.
Yeah. So Jake, what was the first thing you noticed about Laura?
Probably that she followed rules and actually paid attention whenever they told us to do something, which is just so antithetical to how I was at that point in time, and still am. So I'm gonna be a great lawyer. I'm really looking forward to it.
You just look over to your shoulder. Laura, what do I say here?
Exactly.
Do I say
That's the
guilty?
right thing to do, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably.
Is he guilty or is he not guilty? I don't know how to.
Will never be a good judge. Hopefully, never get on the bench.
I'd be a great judge.
Yeah. Jake, I find you guilty, but I'll see you at home. Dinner's at 7, all right?
Don't be late.
Don't be late.
Yeah.
Get out of my courtroom. Oh, very. So, stories kind of match. I guess we'll agree with that. Can you, yeah?
Yeah, I think so,
Alright.
yeah.
Right. Okay, so Jake, you mentioned that you're very much the opposite of Laura, and it leads me to it leads me to my next point, because the idea that I have of you guys are basically the dynamic duo of my college years. If I can remember, there's pictures of you guys everywhere officially, like in an official pamphlet. There's
The wanted posters.
Yeah. We'll get to that later.
That's another segment.
That's another segment for later. Yeah, yeah. Somebody from 60 Minutes is gonna pop in like, "Hey, you interviewed Billy and Clyde over here." So, but you guys are the dynamic duo to me. Everywhere I saw you guys were doing something. You were involved with something, and then obviously you were dating, and now that you're married, how did that start? Was it just because you were dating, or is it because, hey, I want to do this, and Laura's like, oh, Laura's doing it, so I'm going to do this as well?
I think that we push each other. I think that's fair. So one of the cool things that I did in college, I got elected student body president, and that was 100% because Laura told me I was going to do that. And then like rallied
Campaign
a lot of...
manager here.
Then just completely rallied a lot of different groups to go ahead and do that, which was nice. No, so I mean, I think that SMU was a great place to go to college too. It's a very entrepreneurial campus. If you want to do something, I think that you have a lot of support to do whatever it is that you want to do. We have a student body that's very active and very engaged and try and take advantage of opportunities. So yeah, I think that we push each other. I think a lot of times there's things that I want to do that kind of match up with her goals or what she wants to do, and vice versa. So whenever one of us starts working on a project, the other one usually jumps in.
So Laura, why did you know Jake was going to run for student body president? Like,
well, he had run for something before. I remember vaguely. I remember being in Spain and you running a campaign, and
yeah, I ran for all kinds of crap.
Yeah, and so I knew that he had a servant heart, and I know that that's something that I really liked about him, and I really thought that was great. And I thought that that's something that we definitely had in common, because everything that I did at SMU, I feel like I did it in order to help people like for example, Aero alone. I remember going through Aero, and I was just I almost didn't go to SMU because I was I just thought, oh my God, there's no one like me, on stage. There's no one around me that looks like me. I closed myself off, and so I tried to think, well, what can I do next year to help people feel a little bit more
welcome.
Well, yeah, or just like there are people that exist that can very much be like you, and I just saw a lot of that in Jake, and when he mentioned that he was gonna run again, I was like, let's do it,
Your good luck charm has come back from Spain,
right?
Jake Torres.
It's like, let me take over.
Let me take over.
We'll make buttons.
Some yard signs.
Did you have to go through 10 button approvals or something?
I think it was 12.
Those 12.
Yeah, I think it was 12.
And so just being a cheerleader for someone that's got some good ideas is very easy.
Yeah.
And so makes it easy.
So what you just said, to come full circle, for our listeners, if you haven't figured this out by now, I went to SMU as well. Laura was my Aero leader before freshman year, and that's where I met both of you.
I can't believe you still came to SMU.
Yeah, I know, right? I had a month and a half to change my mind, and I was still nervous. Yeah, but yeah, having Laura there was helpful because she made it fun. I still remember the game you had us play.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah.
I did.
So we had to come up with an adjective for our name.
Yeah.
So if your name started with a certain letter, you had to find an adjective for that. And I just remember mine was just so lame. And
what was it?
It was awesome Andy, because it was an A. It's the only thing that I could come up with.
Yeah.
And you're in a room with 8 other people who
you don't know.
Yeah. And then I just remember we had to do an obstacle course at the gym, and you were our cheerleader, and I think we won.
Probably.
Because I remember I had a T-shirt, because you would get a T-shirt if
winners.
Yeah. So you helped me. So full circle here.
That's great.
Thank you very much on that.
So good to hear.
And then what I remember about Jake was I think they did a skit.
Yeah.
And I think you were one of the actors in the skit.
Yeah, we all had to do those. This was a dark time in my life.
There was a dance routine, by the way.
I've actually blocked out that entire summer, and then y'all are just bringing up.
Luckily, I'm here to bring this back. Opening the wound. That's who I am.
Just ripping open old wounds.
You need me to reopen a wound? I am there.
I thought I'd healed. Yeah, but yeah, we had to do all kinds of weird stuff, dancing routines. I think we sang songs. It was just your very typical college orientation.
Come on, Jake. Everyone is doing that.
Yeah, it was just I needed money over the summer, so it's not the first time. Yeah.
So remember that next time you're at the taking that judge's bench.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Used to dance for money. That's right.
Awesome. Okay, so your 4 years pass up. What did you guys do with your lives after that?
We taught. We applied, and actually Jake applied first to do Teach for America. I don't know if you want to talk about why you did that.
Sure, yes. I always known that I wanted to be a teacher. Always knew that I wanted to go into coaching. Teach for America was interesting because they offered job placement, which I thought was very interesting. They would put you in a school, in the type of school that I knew that I wanted to teach in, so like an urban setting, somewhere where students really needed good teachers, and also there were some. Gosh, I'm trying to think. There's some grant money that you could use to pay off some student loans that was available through Teach for America. So those two things combined were the reason why I applied for that program. And once I got accepted, I knew that was the way I was going to go into teaching. So.
And I came about the program a little bit later. I didn't know much about it, but one of my best friends, Jill, applied really early, like first round. Maybe she by like September, she already knew she'd be teaching. After that, and she kind of told me about the program, and I looked into it a little bit further because I really didn't know. I actually planned to go directly into law school after graduation. God works in mysterious ways, but kind of shut those doors down. So I didn't get into the schools that I wanted. So decided not to do law school, and then kind of at that point, December started looking for some other options and. Found Teach for America to be a great program where I could help students very much like myself. I think that was the most important thing that attracted me to this program. Not only would I be teaching, but I'd be teaching students like me. So,
was there at any point where you conflicted while you were doing this teaching job, knowing that you weren't doing law school?
I don't think so, because it was just a great profession. You were working nonstop, no time to think.
There was no time to think.
It was just I enjoy learning, and it was a huge learning curve, because we didn't have education degrees, and so through Teach for America, we had to do a lot of training, not only that summer, but it was ongoing throughout the school year. Throughout your commitment with Teach for America, you do a lot of training, and so I really enjoyed that because I like pushing myself, and it was a great way to continue to learn.
Like, what's challenged you specifically? Can you tell me something about that? Like, you said you don't have the education background, so you're not ready for... Was it the classroom? Was it the politics at school? Or what weren't you ready for?
The subject matter that I'd be teaching. So
what did you teach?
So my first year of teaching, I went to Memphis because another part of Teach for America is they're going to send you to the highest need area that there is. And when I applied at that time, all positions were filled here in Dallas, which is I wanted to stay in Dallas because I wanted to teach in DISD. I thought it'd be neat to be in the same district that I grew up. Yeah. But I ended up going to Memphis, and it was amazing. It was a great experience.
Did you have a choice between any other city, or was it like...
No,
they got barbecue in Memphis, Jake. I'm going to Memphis, man.
Yeah, it's a great city. At first I was scared, but I also just kind of gave it up to God and said, you know what, just kind of guide me through this. And I taught Spanish there. I taught Spanish from kinder to 5th grade. So while I knew Spanish, I had a degree in it, I didn't know what I would be faced with. I didn't know how much the kids knew, because in Memphis they actually do K through 12 foreign language. But once I got there and I got my feet wet, it was a little bit easier. But I was definitely concerned.
Can they say barbecue in like 10 different languages?
Yeah, they are impressive. They're speaking Chinese.
Whoa.
7 years old. Like,
That's crazy.
Very impressive. And my 5th graders just were
That's not
conversational. I mean, they could go to Mexico and hold a conversation. They were very impressive.
So Jake, so at the same time you guys started teaching Laura's in Memphis, and you're here in Dallas.
Yep.
Were you guys still dating?
Yep, we were still dating.
So, Laura, how long were you in Memphis?
Just that 1 year, and then
year?
I came back to teach here in Dallas.
So Jake,
You taught your last 2 years here in
Last
Dallas.
2 years, yeah.
And I taught here in Dallas all 3 years. So
what was that first year having Laura away?
it was fine.
Freedom.
It was nice because when she moved to a new city, I got to experience, I guess, and learn that new city as well. It's only, I think, a 5-hour drive, something like that. It's not too far. Memphis.
7?
Well, okay, I did it in 5. That's because you took the bus.
10, 12 hours.
10, 12 hours.
No, so it was neat. I didn't have any. I don't think I'd ever been to Memphis prior to that, so that was not just kind of like what you mentioned. They have amazing barbecue. It's a neat city. Kind of like New Orleans. They have like a neat food scene. They have a neat music scene. Just good people. So that was fun. Yeah, love music. A lot of live music everywhere you go on different street corners. So it was fun. It was neat to get over there. And we unfortunately didn't get to see any sports, no Grizzly games or anything like that. But it was still fun.
But yeah, SMU plays against Memphis all the time, right? Basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did you go catch that?
What?
Did you go and catch that? No.
She didn't go whenever they played here.
Sports.
Yeah, sports. No. But Jake, sports. Yes.
Yes.
I'll go with him if he's got a game. But
Yeah.
So what were you? You mentioned teaching. What were you teaching?
So I taught English over the 3 years. I taught all of them. I think I taught English 1, 2, 3, and 4 over the 3 years.
What levels?
So
high school?
freshmen through seniors, which is great. And so I think my last year at Samuel, so I taught at W.W. Samuel High School, which is in Pleasant Grove, one of the larger DISD high schools. My last year, going into my 3rd year, all the English teachers that I had started with had left. They either quit or been fired. And so they asked me to chair the English department at like 24 years old just because I was the most tenured person there. They were like, well, you've been here the longest,
so you automatically get the job.
You're in charge. Go get it, cowboy. And it was tough. Some DISD schools just have a lot of challenges. When I was there, I had 3 different, so all the core subjects like English, social studies,
math, science.
Each of them would have their own assistant principal that would kind of work with the department chair. So each
department chair.
So they asked me to be department chair because I was the most tenured person there, which was kind of frustrating in some ways because you don't have older veteran teachers to look up to ask questions. So I have a very difficult problem that I may not have encountered in my first 2 years. How can you help me? But there's nobody there. It's you. So that's.
Did you call Laura in between lunch? Hey.
So she taught little kids, and we just had very different issues, I think, between our students. But
my kid poked his eye out. And my kid poked the other guy's eye with something with an actual.
Yeah,
Shame.
it was just very, very different. I think we were on the news. Samuel was because we had a riot outside of our high school when we just had a huge fight at one point in time. He could come
out with a whistle and calm them down, or what?
He basically come out of that meter stick, just start swinging. No, it was tough. It was tough. I had 3 different assistant principals that were over my department during the 1 year that I was the department chair. Just a lot of, and that's just typical for ISD. Sometimes you have a lot of challenges, a lot of turnover, but still good kids. Really good people that were there in the school. I'm still very close with a lot of my coaching buddies, some of my other friends that were teaching alongside of me. Just really care a lot about their kids. And we're going to one of my former soccer players. He's getting married this month.
Yeah.
At the end of August. So we're gonna go to his wedding. Last year I think we went to one of my girls' weddings.
We've been to a lot of 15s too.
We've been to a lot of kids. Especially when I was teaching, we went to a lot of quinceañeras.
We don't need you to chaperone. We just want you to come.
Just bring a gift.
Yeah.
So no, I mean I'm still very close to a lot of my kids, and I miss them. I miss them a lot, and it's strange because since I taught high school, my kids are in their early mid-20s, and some of them a little bit older than that now. Whereas Laura's kids, are in junior high. I'm guessing junior high, not even in high school yet. So yeah, I've been able to. It was neat getting to see my kids grow and. Now they're having their own kids and stuff, so it's fun.
Laura, you don't keep up like Jake does?
No, it's hard. I mean, I always told my kids, don't get a Facebook. And like, I mean, they're 9 and they talk about stuff like that. So it is hard to stay in touch. But when I was there, I was incredibly close to them and their moms.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Importantly, they reminded me a lot of my own mom. And I loved that they would text me too. It was funny because my mom didn't text at that time. And so I was like, oh, these are cool moms.
Yeah.
But it was neat to build those relationships.
Did you get to choose that age group, or was it assigned to you by the program that you're in?
So with Teach for America, I got the job there at the elementary school. But once I got there, the principal decided where we're lacking in teachers, and so I got to teach 3rd grade for 2 years, and I absolutely loved it. Or 8, 9-year-olds, so sweet. It's a great age.
Okay. So, Jake, how do you keep up with so many kids? Like, yeah.
So I think, at least with my soccer players, I would always text them, like, practice is canceled, or, like, be at the gym at this time, or, like, bus is leaving, whenever. So for a lot of them, they'll text me just randomly saying, like, hey, like, for example, I'm getting married in a couple months. I'd love for you to come. A bunch of them I keep up with on social media. So I either, I follow them on Instagram or... we're friends on Facebook. Some of them are doing really cool things. They're working really hard. Some of them are in school. A couple of them have moved to Mexico and gone back or doing different things. So it's neat. It's neat to keep up with all of them.
For our listeners, we did an episode on education previously, and then I quickly just kind of want to reiterate something because I completely forgot you guys were teachers at one point. Sure. But Laura, you mentioned texting, keeping up with parents. Like technology now, did that have a great effect in the classroom?
Yeah, it just helped continue to bridge the gap between communication because some parents preferred to text and some preferred to call me, but I preferred either one. Whatever they felt most comfortable with, and it was just so easy, especially if the kids had tutoring and they were there to pick them up. They'd ask me, what time do I pick up Lisbeth today, and I would tell them. All communication was done in Spanish, so it was also I tried all avenues as a teacher to get to my parents, to get them to help them be involved in the school and with their kids' education.
And it worked out.
Yeah, I kind of met them wherever. If they wanted me to call or text, none of them emailed, but texting was great. It was a great way to.
Okay, and then Jake, you would use that
Absolutely.
Similar?
Yeah, the exact same way.
Okay, all right. So, walk me through how you have this great teaching career. Obviously, you both have enjoyed it. But now, from what I understand, Laura, you're going to enter your 3rd year of law school coming up, correct? It's fourth year?
Yeah.
So then you're getting close to finish?
Yeah.
And then, Jake, you've just finished law school.
Yeah.
So walk me through that transition. How did you reach that next milestone?
Well, and this is something that I would always tell my kids is, you need to follow your dreams, however long that takes you, whatever road that may take you. It's not, sometimes it's not a straight shot. And I would tell them how I'm a teacher, but one day I'd love to be a lawyer. And sometimes my kids would also just ask me, Miss Torres, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so it was a funny question. When I grow up,
still don't know.
No. Interestingly enough, millennials nowadays will have up to 2 professions sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing. Whereas some of our parents, they do one job forever, but it's becoming very common for our generation to kind of switch around and just get different experiences. But after 2 years, going into our 3rd, I think we kind of talked about what we see in our future. We were married at that time and where we want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And we knew that law school, I knew definitely that I wanted to do law school, and so we had to start early to start preparing for the LSAT to get into law school. So I just had those conversations about where we want to be. And
so for you, it was continuing that dream. Hey, like I still have hopes for this. Here's our chance. Let's go for it. Jake.
Law school's not my dream. No, that was not like growing up. That I'd always kind of like thought about law school. I always known it was there. So was the NFL, but that was not going to happen. No, so I guess when I was looking at different things, I always wanted to be a principal. I thought that's where I was going to go into school administration, and that's what I guess my long-term plans were going to be, or try and become a head coach at some school somewhere. It just didn't really work out. I guess sometimes whenever you get into an environment or you actually get into there and you start to see what the job would look like, it's not, I guess, what you had pictured it or not what you had thought it would be. So when I started interacting with the principals and the administration in the school, I kind of realized, being a principal is not what I envisioned it would be prior to actually teaching. So started looking at different options. I knew that she wanted to go to law school. At the same time,
Copycat.
I know, right? During the 3 years whenever I was teaching, I also think I became very acutely aware at just the dearth of legal services, in certain pockets within the city, and how some communities just do not have access to attorneys, and how important it is that we have attorneys that speak Spanish, that come from the neighborhood, that are able to understand and articulate.
That Spanish degree sounds really great right about.
Yeah, I know, it was really helpful. Being able to articulate and explain the law and make that accessible. A lot of my kids, had different legal problems, whether it was immigration issues or even problems like with criminal justice. Sometimes their parents had landlord-tenant issues that are actually really, really simple, and a good lawyer could fix in just a couple of days, but none of them had access to attorneys. And so I think that kind of also gave me a heightened awareness of how important it is to try and bring some access to legal services to not only just Pleasant Grove, but also here in West Dallas and other neighborhoods in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Hold that thought. We're gonna come back to that. But a little bit through law school, did you guys think? Okay, how hard was it?
Law school?
Yeah.
We've had very different experiences. For
Laura,
me,
it was really easy. They told me what to read. I read
She
it.
read it.
She read it. Boom. Jake, on the other hand, had to draw.
I wish. No, so Angie was born our first year of law school.
Ooh.
2 weeks into our first semester ever of law school, and so we had done a lot of research ourselves on what it's going to take to be successful in law school, and we recognized and we knew first year is, I want to say, the most important year of your law school career, because after that, a lot of people will get job offers, Jake did, and so we knew we needed to have a really strong first year. We knew we had gotten accepted into SMU's where we wanted to go, so we got kind of that acceptance, and also figured out we were pregnant at the same time. And so it was there was a lot of things going on, but we decided, bring it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it was a tough first year, because we were trying to figure out how to be parents.
And to read 30 chapters in your ethics book.
Read heavily, be involved. We were trying to be the best of both. But luckily, my family is 2 streets down, so my mom was helping me with my daughter all the time. And so I took that first year off. But my second, third, and then now into my 4th year, I've pretty much worked full-time, and then I go to school in the evenings. So because I'm in the evening program, that's why it's taken me 4 years. So it's a little bit longer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, having a kid and law school, I'm surprised you're standing right now. So whatever you're having to do to get it done, nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, and so it's been hard to juggle being a law student, trying to be involved at the law school at the same time as doing well in my job, and also, trying to be a mom, because I'm, You
don't sleep, do you?
I do sleep. I love sleep. No, that is one thing I can't give up. Good. Luckily, Angie goes to bed really early, and so luckily, whenever
she tells you to go to bed, huh? Guys, I read Brownstein Bears. Go to bed.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we've she's been she's been really easy to parent, and so since she
just give her a book.
Since she goes down early, that was our opportunity to study.
What's your full-time job right now? If you don't mind me asking you.
I work at SMU.
Okay.
In enrollment resources, kind of part of the admissions department. So.
From arrow to admissions, from helping them with their stuff to actually choosing the kids that
big jump.
That show of.
Yeah, well, I'm not choosing them, but I do get to help a lot of incoming freshmen kind of figure out their finances, financial aid, bursts, or anything, any of the big questions. We also get a lot of calls from parents.
Jake, have you noticed that Laura likes to help people?
She loves it.
But overall, I really enjoy the classes. They're really great. Mm-hmm. I'm not a night person, but I do have classes at night. But if they were boring, I would not be able to stay awake. Luckily, they are.
Jake, do you have the answers? Do you have the answers for this?
Definitely don't.
Right.
Never did.
But overall, it's been.
So, Jake, did you go to night school like Laura did, or
no? So I went full time during the 3 years, and so she's been able to work this whole time, which has been nice. So it's kind of kept us from having to take out nearly as much student loans, I guess, as otherwise could have. And also working at SMU, we've been able to get a tuition discount, which has been really helpful. So I went straight through. That's why I was able to finish in 3 years. But I love law school. I love mostly the people. I think the people were just the hands down the best. The professors at SMU are fantastic. They are brilliant legal scholars, but also a lot of them are really accomplished attorneys. Some of them are baseball historians, believe it or not. And my classmates were fantastic. Dan Rogers, we love you. And also I think one of the toughest things about law school or the reputation is that the students are really competitive. The students aren't cordial, not very collegial. You don't make friendships. But at least my experience was the opposite. I had wonderful friendships, and really enjoyed the people that I spent time with in the classroom. And that was good, because otherwise those 3 years would be very hard, very long, and not nearly as enjoyable. So I was very lucky. And I think everybody in my class are going to go on to make to be fantastic attorneys.
So since you guys had both different experiences, did you guys ever find a middle ground? Like, did you ever at one point reach out to one another and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. What's your take on it? Or are you struggling with it as well? Did you ever find that?
Yeah, definitely. We get to share a lot of the same books. We've never been able to take the same class together because he goes during the day and I go in the evening. But we've taken some of the same professors, and we get to share books, so that saves us.
Save some money.
Saves some money.
It's just so expensive.
But I also definitely go to Jake for a lot of advice regarding, what to do, since he's always been kind of a year ahead. Should I take this class? Should I not? How should I put my schedule here and stuff like that? So,
Jake, is it before noon or afternoon? Is that your advice?
That's right.
And especially now, just seeing him go through the bar and the bar prep, I know kind of what to expect for next year. So that's been pretty neat.
True.
Treaded water there.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that rain?
Yeah.
Yep.
That came
rain.
down hard.
Yeah.
I hope your windows are rolled up.
Mine's are.
Hope your car's still
Are
there.
yours?
Oh. So it's my car that I need to worry about. Wow.
I was saying mine's that way, so I don't. It's fine.
Okay, so earlier we said West Dallas. From what I have stalked you on social media, you were in the news. You were doing some workshops in West Dallas. How did that start?
So in here, West Dallas is interesting because we have a lot of homes that were built, a long time ago, like 1940s, 1930s, and there's a couple of different landowners that own a large number of them. So there's one such company called HMK that owned, at the time, about 400 properties, and some of them were located over in South Dallas, but a little over 300 of them were here in West Dallas. And so they, over time, over a couple of years, went round and round with the city of Dallas and just had a number of disagreements just about the condition of their properties and just a number of different things. And depending on who you ask, whether you talk to the city or you talk to that company, it's the other person's fault. But after one of their latest arguments, that company decided they were going to terminate all their leases for the 300 families that were living in their homes. And so all those people lived on month-to-month leases. So basically, they could with 1 month with 1 month notice, they could say, okay, we're not going to renew for the next month, and you have to leave. So there were a lot of these people had lived in their homes for decades. 10, 20, and some that I talked to lived in their home for over 30 years. And they were just suddenly told, we're not going to renew your lease. You have to vacate in 30 days. So what we did was we got a group of law students and some volunteer attorneys from around the city to just hold a couple of pop-up legal clinics.
Yeah.
So what we did was we sat down and we met with over 100 of the families and just kind of told them, we read through the letter with them, explained to them, this is the legal effect of this letter, this is what this means, and then answered any questions that they had. Some of them wanted to know about, different programs that the city of Dallas offered to help with housing. Some of them wanted to know, what would happen if I just don't leave, or what's the eviction process look like? How would an eviction, impact me going forward as I'm trying to get a new house? So it was neat that these people were able to sit down and talk with either an attorney or a law student, and have all their questions answered, which was helpful. And so we did all those here in the neighborhood. We did some of them at Uplift Heights, and we did one of them at Mercy Street Church. And I think they were really successful. We tried to keep up with most of those families. Afterwards, as new developments happened, we would call them and let them know that things were happening, and still just kind of kept an open line of communication.
So you mentioned about 300 families. Mm-hmm. Did all of them attend?
We met with about 100 of them, so about a third, over the course of 4 different legal clinics. Yeah, so we met with
4 legal clinics.
Yeah, we had four separate clinics.
You had full house.
We had full house each time, and I think it was helpful. I think it kind of goes to our earlier point that we were talking about. There's a huge need for legal services in West Dallas and in other neighborhoods here in the city. West Dallas is predominantly Hispanic and African American. If you look at the entire county of Dallas County is 40% Hispanic, but the Dallas bar is only 4% Hispanic. So there's not a lot of Hispanic attorneys in the city, at least definitely not proportionally. And we kind of tend to live in the communities where we're from. Mm-hmm. So you just don't have that access to be able to just go to your neighborhood lawyer and ask them. Yeah, especially not when there's 300 people. And we kind of jumped into that a little bit, I guess. So yeah.
So good prep for law students to have that sort of practice, reading the legal documents.
I think so.
Were any of the documents ever intimidating, or? No. I mean, maybe that's why they got you. That's why they have you there.
No, I think one good thing about SMU is that they really, I guess, they kind of empower you or let you realize that very soon you're going to be the attorney. You're going to be the person that has to make judgments and decisions and give advice, and that you won't always have a professor right there behind you to kind of help and tell you yes, that's right, or no, that's wrong. So no, I mean, I feel like whenever we sat down and we were getting questions, we were prepared. We knew what the likely questions were going to be. We were able to answer them, and when we didn't, we knew where to look. So.
Laura, what's your take on all this?
It was it was a great service that was very much needed, because when everything was happening, with HMK sending out eviction notices, everyone was kind of just freaking out. One of my aunts in particular was affected by this because she does live in an HMK home, and so there were a lot of people that wanted to help, but no one was really giving the tenants any legal advice about what really is going on, what can happen, what should happen, things of that nature. So I think it was definitely necessary, and it was great because the students really got to kind of teach them their rights without in an accessible way, which is really important for tenants to be empowered themselves about what's going on and what does the future look like, can look like. So it was really great, well organized.
You mentioned family. The whole point was to keep families together. Mm-hmm. You guys are now a family. You have Angie, who's about to be 3. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that. How has that changed your life? Having her in your life.
Oh man, she changes everything. The way we spend money to spend our time, goals. Yeah, I guess. Gosh, having a kid changes all of it. She's definitely been our inspiration and your motivation to try and do well. Whenever I was during my first round at SMU, it just kind of, if I didn't get the best grades, that was fine. It was kind of, it just impacted me. But whenever I was in law school, if I didn't succeed or didn't do well, I knew that would have a direct impact on Angie. So you're very, very motivated to get good grades, to be able to come out, get a good job that will not only pay off our debt, but be able to support her and hopefully send her to a much cheaper institution.
Lesson learned?
Yeah, lesson learned.
Agreed. She was our motivation, and I worked my schedule around her. My classes. She's just always at the top of my list. Like when can I maximize the time I spend with Angie? So I try to put all my classes like 2 nights a week instead of 4 nights a week. But she's always at the forefront and really has helped keep us focused on where we want to be for her sake and our future children as well.
Laura, what has motherhood changed about you?
She's nicer.
I really think about everything I say and do because she is a sponge, and she will say whatever you say and she will do whatever you do. So like, I don't like to share my food, but I share my food now because I want her to be able to go into the classroom and be amicable and recognize that it's nice to share your things if it's possible, and things like that. So everything that I do, I kind of think about what do I want my daughter to see and do. So share my food now.
Share. Jake, what does fatherhood change in you?
I think it's made me a lot more patient. You can't. I'm just naturally an impatient person. I want things done quickly. I want to let's get it done. Let's set the plan out and get it going. But when you have a kid, everything is on an 18-year timeline. So you're constantly thinking, okay, what are the decisions that we're making today? How's that going to play out over the next 18 years and impact her? So I think it's made me look at things with a different timeline. But.
All right, so. We have law school. Jake, you finished with law school. You've taken the bar exam.
Yes.
Laura, you're about to enter your 4th year and hopefully finish next year. You have Angie. Mm-hmm. So as we wrap things up here, close to, what's in the future for you guys? What type of lawyers do you see you guys coming into? Is there a law firm of Torres and Torres with the bench ad somewhere?
Torres and Torres.
Torres and Torres. So what's the future like? What have you painted so far?
So for me, I think I want to continue that dream of being an immigration attorney so that one day I can help my entire family. My mom is 1 out of 15, and there are 13 of them are here in the States. And so there's a high need in my own immediate or actually extended family. But I want to be able to help them too. I had an internship at a family law firm that I absolutely loved. And I think there's a lot of things that I can do with being a family attorney as well, especially now being a mom and a wife, and just recognizing the importance of those roles and facilitating the lives of people when things don't go well, or when you need help, writing a will and things like that. Just anything.
That's so weird to think about as an adult now.
Yeah.
Especially once you have kids, you start thinking, well, what's going to happen when I'm not here?
Yeah.
God forbid that I leave before I'm supposed to or that I want to. Yeah. Is my child in a good place financially? And then
my nephew gets my DVDs or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Anything family related or anything dealing with wills and estates, I think is super interesting. But also just helping our community here in West Dallas. We're here to stay. We live in my dad's rental home, and He's going to let us stay here for as long as we want. And I love living.
Oh, God, we hope so.
I know. I love living.
Till Angie gets to
Two streets down.
past college.
Right. I love living 2 streets down, and so it'd be nice to just stay in the community so that we're able to stay abreast of everything that's going on and continue to help wherever we can.
So Jake, what do you want to specialize in, or have you decided that now?
So I've accepted an offer with a firm in Uptown called Winstead PC, and they're just a large Texas-based law firm. They do all kinds of litigation and transactional work. I'm going to join their finance section. So I'll represent banks and other lenders whenever they're giving complex commercial loans to different types of companies, and I'll help them basically just write a lot of contracts is what I'll be doing. When I went to law school, I really just wanted to, number one, get a job. That was the biggest thing. So I was lucky to find a good firm, the firm that has a great culture, good strong pro bono culture, values I guess their associates and their partners. So I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to learning, I guess, to how to be a good lawyer.
True.
That's funny how things have changed. Jake wanted to be a high school teacher, football coach, and then
Right.
now hey, I'm a lawyer, but
We'll see.
funny, you have a kid. Not just enough. But
But we're still
different.
very much wanting to stay involved.
Involved.
As much
Yeah,
as we can.
yeah, definitely. I want to be as involved in the community as possible. There's so few attorneys here in West Dallas, and so we hope to be able to speak up. Oftentimes, and it gets kind of frustrating whenever you'll hear different groups or different communities organizations will come and they'll kind of speak on behalf of the community and say, there's no educated people in West Dallas and nobody has a college degree, but we'll kind of stand up from the background like we're right here.
this kid from 5 hours away and this little girl from 16 hours away is...
Yeah, there's some people, we know some engineers that are right down the street that also went to SMU with us. So there's the Gaines, Liz Gaines lives right down the street from us.
Liz Gaines?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was on our second episode of
Yeah.
on our show here.
She's right down the street. So there are people from the neighborhood that are doing good things, but we definitely want to try and be as active and involved as possible.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you very much. Just to kind of have a little bit of fun here now.
Sure.
Our producer here is going to put 60 minutes on an invisible clock that nobody can see. But
60 minutes?
60 seconds. Wow, 60 minutes, yeah. 60 seconds. We're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. So when you hear the question, say
Shoot an
whatever.
answer.
Yeah, shoot an answer, whatever comes into your mind. So it's a little rapid fire game, and time starts now. What's the dumbest purchase you've ever made?
None.
Our car, we spent way too much money on it.
Devalues right after.
We didn't know what we were doing. We just bought the warranty. We bought all this other stuff. It was bad. It's terrible.
Okay. Are DJs just people who are good at making iTunes playlists?
No. They got to read the crowd.
Definitely. I've heard some really good DJs.
Okay.
Pablo.
Favorite Olympic sport to watch?
Something that we don't normally watch. So like track, swimming, gymnastics, any team sport.
I like gymnastics. That's great.
Maybe get Angie in gymnastics someday?
Maybe.
Maybe. What was Angie's first word?
Mama.
Mama?
I think it was no.
It was no?
I think it was no.
Definitely mama.
Definitely mama.
No mama.
Okay. Who's the best actor to play Batman?
I kind of like George Clooney. I like
That's
I like the George. It's a very unpopular answer.
Yeah.
Terrible with names, so I have no idea.
Val Kilmer.
Okay. Have you ever won concert tickets from a radio station?
No.
Yes. Cumbia Kings.
Who is the best president we've ever had?
Barack Obama.
FDR.
Have you ever gone to foul ball at a baseball game?
No.
No.
Oh.
On the bucket list.
What's the last book you've read for fun?
Ted Cruz. His autobiography. I think Time for Truth or something like that.
Law school gives no room for fun for reading.
What's the last song that's stuck in your head?
Oh gosh. Animal Parts or whatever the one that Angie was listening to.
Yeah, the Moana soundtrack.
All right, guys, we're out of time. Stop. Yeah, we're out of time. We're a little bit over, but that was a little bit of a rapid fire game. I want to thank everybody for listening to our show today. Remember to follow Behind the Curtain on all social medias. Keep updated there. As we wrap up the show, I would like to end with a quote from Martin Luther King. Quote says, Law and order exists for a purpose of establishing justice, and when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. Thank you very much. Good night.